Hi everyone, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Nick.
And welcome to It Takes Two, a podcast where two people take two movies with the same plot or premise and watch and discuss them.
In this week's episode, we watched Teen Wolf from 1985, not the 2011 TV remake, and 2022?
That's not the name of the movie.
No, Turning Red.
Turning Red.
Yeah. So it's an oldie with a newie.
Yeah, but they're both very similar movies. They're, well, kind of. Similar premises, because they're both about...
Puberty.
Essentially, yes. They're both about puberty coming with unexpected...
Wearism.
Yes, wearism. Inherited through generations.
Yeah, which is not how normally it happens in movies.
True, yeah.
Yeah, because normally it's the teen jock who's the quarterback of the thing, and he's walking through the woods and he gets bitten by a werewolf. And then becomes a werewolf.
Okay.
Because werewolves.
Yeah, that is normally how werewolves work. That was what I meant to say, not wolf.
Yeah.
So spoiler alert, we are going to spoil both of these movies, which is especially important considering Turning Red came out like...
Well, depends on when you're listening to this.
Yeah, true.
For us, it came out recently. For you?
Yes, it came out 5 days ago here in New Zealand at the time of recording, which is... What, we're...
What are you checking?
I'm trying to think of... We're just short of 2 weeks out from when the episode comes out. So it'll still be...
relevant.
Yeah, when this episode was released, it'll still be within 3 weeks of the release of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's pretty new. So if you don't want spoilers, don't listen ahead because we will probably spoil it.
Yeah, pause this podcast, go watch the entire movie, and then come back and listen to us.
Yeah, and watch Teen Wolf as well if you want. I was going to say watch Teen Wolf 2, and then I remembered that's the name of the sequel.
Yeah, with Jason Bateman.
Yeah, because Michael J. Fox hated Teen Wolf so much he didn't want to come back.
Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into the movies. Teen Wolf starts off with dark music and a cast and crew crawl that ends up in a very sweaty Michael J. Fox.
That's what I wrote as well. I wrote that he's very sweaty. I don't think I've ever seen someone so sweaty. He's incredibly sweaty.
Yeah, that's clearly makeup, but they just went like over the top.
Yeah. They just like poured a bucket of oil over his head or something. Like he's incredibly sweaty.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of contact mics used, it's by the sounds of things, to get that like
heartbeat.
The heartbeat, but
yeah.
It sounds like it sounds like the mic is inside him, so it's obviously contact mics up against something, maybe not a chest, but definitely something to get that echoey sound that it gets, and it's all kind of slow-mo until he throws a ball and it hits a basket and doesn't go into the basket.
Yes, that's how basketball works.
Because he's a shitty basketball player.
Yes, they're all shitty. That's the whole point.
Yeah, his whole team
is shitty.
Is very shitty at basketball. I literally wrote MJF's team are shitty at basketball.
Yeah. Where Turning Red starts off with really stereotypical immigrant Asian parents.
True, yeah. It's all about, you must honor your parents and you must do everything for them and things like that. And it starts off with, like, a series of family photos with the main character narrating over it.
Yeah. Who's super extra in that first.
It's fantastic.
The energy in the beginning of Turning Red is 11.
It's amazing though because she's a very awkward, nerdy character, but she is incredibly confident, which I love. I think that's fantastic that they have this like awkward nerd character, but she's not like shy, awkward nerd in the corner. She's like really upbeat and out there. Extroverted, wearing what she likes, being an individual, whatever, as an awkward nerd.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
There's some very obviously different ideas and language used in Teen Wolf, which was a little bit like looking at it through the lens of 2022 from 1985.
Are you talking about the like weird homophobic scene?
Not just that, there was,
That was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, there was that. Also just, like, the movie raised more questions than it answered.
About what?
About the entire universe that the movie takes place in. Because spoilers, Michael J. Fox is a werewolf.
Yes.
Which the whole thing, like turning red, there's a little bit obvious there.
What do you mean?
Well, she's a female.
Oh right, yeah.
And then
it's very puberty. Yeah, because when it happens to her first, she hides in the bathroom from her mom, which is funny because Michael J. Fox tries to hide from his dad in the bathroom when he first fully transforms. But her mom assumes that she's had her first period.
Yeah.
And she comes in with like a care pack that she's prepared with like painkillers and a hot water bottle and a whole box full of pads, which is quite sweet. That she's like, okay, I knew this was going to come. You're 13 years old.
Yeah. I just thought I had more time to plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Teen Wolf is very male puberty. To the point where like he's smaller than the other guys and the guys are hairier than him, and then he's just like sucks at sports. And then the coach sequence when he goes to talk to the coach right in the beginning part is so bizarre to me, because he's like, hey, I'm here for you, I'm here for the whole team, you said to us if we never need to talk, you can come see us. And he's sitting at his desk eating KFC.
Yeah. And
he's just like, oh, I don't know, man, I'm pretty busy, like the IRS are after me, like, and you're like, what? Why are the IRS after you? Like, never explained.
The coach is great. My favorite thing about the coach is that, so the whole, we're going to go off far away from the timeline of the actual movie here, because right near the end, like the whole way along, the thing is that he gets better at sports when he's the wolf, and people like him better when he's the wolf, and whatever. Yeah. And at the end, he decides he's going to play the championship game as himself, as a human.
Scott, yeah.
As Scott, rather than as TW, Teen Wolf. And the coach is like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, all right. But you're going to lose. And he's like, yeah, okay. And it's like, oh, all right. Their coach, like, was happy, seemed happy enough to just support him to be him. But my favorite thing about the coach is that he tells him he's got 3 rules of life, and you think it's going to be like something relevant to what's going on. But his 3 rules of life are: never get less than 12 hours sleep, never play cards with a guy who has the same first name as a city, and never get involved with a woman with a tattoo of a dagger on her body. What has any of that got to do with anything?
With helping teenage boys through like high school. No, my favourite sequence from him is when he walks onto the court, peeling and eating a hard-boiled egg.
Yeah, and just dropping the shell on the ground. And
tells one of the guys who's on the bench, go get me salt. And the dude's like, what? And he's like, go get me salt.
The coach is amazing.
Yeah. So in Turning Red, you get introduced to her group of friends. So there's 4 of them, which have all got very, they're not samey. It's a very unique personalities.
Yeah.
Without, they're not super stereotypical, but they're kind of not really, but sort of keyhole pegged. A little.
Yeah, I think especially Priya, who is like almost their goth chick, or she's supposed to be like real apathetic and stuff. So they have her talking in monotone all the time and all that stuff.
And she's like,
but they don't have her dressing like a goth. But she then later she's kind of hanging out with the goth kids. So I think that is the kind of general area you're supposed to almost fit her into. I think they're just like a mishmash group of weirdos.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of people I got on with in school, so...
Teen Wolfie, Scott really doesn't have... He's got, like, his friend Styles, who's always wearing an obnoxious, like, T-shirt. And then... Was it Jones, the guy who just, like... When he turned into Teen Wolf, was just, like, staying away from him?
Was that his name? I can't remember. I thought it was, like, Louis or something?
Something like that.
I don't remember. I didn't take it down.
And the other person who's really important in his life is Boof.
Boof. Her name is Lisa, actually, funnily enough.
Which Lisa is... Boof. Like, their relationship through the movie is so bizarre. Because you have, like, going through... Yeah, so he's going through his transformation and becoming a teen wolf. His friend Styles is really into car surfing. For some reason, like,
well, they
just is so 80s because...
Yeah, they introduced that as, like, him getting in, Michael J. Fox going to be like, oh, do you have to do this when you don't know what it is he's going to do yet?
Yeah.
So it's this, they very much have this implied, that they do this all the time. That this is what he wants to do every time they're driving.
Yeah. And then there's this sort of back and forth real teenage thing of trying to buy beer from the local liquor store, and the dude's just like, every time they come in, he just like picks up his paper and using his newfound Teen Wolf powers, he scares the shit out of the old guy.
Yeah, his voice gets real deep and his eyes glow red.
Yeah. So we end up in this party, and the reason the party's important is because Scott's going through these changes, obviously, and they've got the beer for the party, and the girl, who I don't even remember her name because the character is just absolute garbage.
Pamela?
Is that the blonde drama?
Yeah. She's the girl that he likes, but
some reason.
and she's dating the star of the other school. They're like rival schools basketball,
which makes
team.
No sense, but whatever, because he seems to be at the school and around.
Yeah, he's just
all the
at
time.
their school all the time.
And he's also like, I don't know how old Michael J. Fox was in 1985, but he looks like a young teenager. Yeah. Where this guy looks like a straight up adult.
Yeah, so
to the point where he's like, I'm a pretty hairy kind of person.
Yeah.
And he's almost as hairy as I am. And it's just like,
yeah.
What?
Michael J. Fox was 23 when they filmed this. The guy who played Mick, who's the guy you're talking about, was 27.
Yeah, it shows.
But what I thought was funny was the guy who plays Styles is also 27. And he is the one that comments at one point that like Mick is 20 and is only still in school because he did time in juvie.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny that he's talking about how old he is when they're both 27-year-old men playing teens.
There was a weird time that didn't finish until the early teens, where people just got hired, like 30-year-olds, to play like.
It's still
teenagers.
Happening.
It's not as bad as it used to be. It's not 902. Was it 90210? What was I don't remember. No, Dawson's Creek.
Oh right.
Yeah. Anyway.
I know Mean Girls. They were all in their mid to late 20s, I think, playing 15-year-olds.
Yeah, I'm on a tangent here. Back to where I was up to. No, it's okay. That's the whole point. Back to where I was up to. So. They're playing the weirdest friggin' game I've ever seen, and I don't know if this was common in the 80s. I don't think so, because I've never seen it in another movie, where all the girls have a guy's name, and then they pick a girl's name out of the hat, and then they have like a weird, sexy but not really sexy thing that they have to do, and Chubbs, who's one of the guys on the basketball team with Scott, has to eat Jell-O, but they pour it down a girl's top, and she's just fine with that. And at the beginning of the sequence, we have two people basically in their underpants writhing, but they're bound up and writhing around in cream, like instant whipping cream, around a circle of people who are drunk and chanting. And there's a lady who looks way too old and way too over the shit in like weird like madame like bougie like bordello outfit with a top hat filled with these names, and then Booth's name gets called and she lies and says she's got Scott, and then they play 7 Minutes in Heaven, which is what I've always heard it referred to, and where they just get pushed into a closet to make out, I guess, because that's what teenagers do
in American movies.
And it's just, and he obviously is, embracing, but the little bits of his wolfness are coming out. So when she leaves, she has straight up, lacerations down her back.
Yeah, so he's ripped right through her
clothing.
Clothes.
Including, I think she's wearing, a denim vest.
It's, super weird, because she's like, ow, your nails.
Yeah.
But then when she walks away, she's literally got, scrapes the whole way down her back. It's real creepy.
But then, when you go through, later on in the movie in their relationship, they've been friends since they were, 5. And there was that weird sequence when he was like, I'm running away. And So they just walked around the block repetitively because they weren't allowed to cross. They were told they weren't allowed to cross the street by themselves. So they just walked around the block of their neighborhood and then went back home and no one had known they'd gone. And it was like, and she's playing basketball with his dad.
Yeah, she's hanging out with his dad playing basketball at one point.
And it's just like, my honest opinion, and this is as the male audience now in this day and age.
Okay.
I would take that blonde lady and leave her on the side of the road because she is garbage. She's a garbage person. She's like, when... I'm jumping forward a bit in the movie, but...
It doesn't matter. I've already jumped to the end, so...
Yeah.
We're not doing step by step, this is what happens in the movie.
Yeah, we're just talking about, like, the differences there.
Yeah.
She's dating Teen Wolf, and... I don't know what they did in the changing room, but that was
rape. That's what I wrote. It seems very rapey. It really seemed like, and it was totally downplayed. It seems like she sexually assaulted him.
Yeah, because it's a huge power play.
Yes,
because she's in her underwear, and he's like, "Hey, like, can I come in?" And she's like, "Come in. We're all family in the theater."
Yeah, so
where's the wolf part? And then you like was it the vice principal's like outside trying to get into his like 72 Corvette, not a Corvette, Cadillac or whatever the stupid blocky car he's got. He's trying to leave school and he just hears like a orgasmic howl coming from inside, and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. It's real creepy. So she like So she has no time for him as Scott, and then as soon as he's the wolf, he's interesting. So
he's not even like, he's just barely like having some flashes of his like transformation. She's like sniffing around him like hey.
She's like, something's different about you. But that's because he had never transformed in front of anyone yet except his dad at that point.
Yeah.
And she's like, something's different about you. And then like there's this moment where that happens, and then they go for a date to the bowling alley, and her boyfriend is there, and then he gets, or she like is like, you know, showing her butt off and then pretending to be bad at bowling so that Scott will like come up and
help her.
Yeah, it's real creepy. And then her boyfriend comes over and is going mad at him. And then when he walks her home or whatever later, she's like, oh, well, he is my boyfriend. He's like, you mean was? And she's like, no, he is.
Yeah. And
then it transpires that she has no intention of continuing an actual relationship with Scott, because she has no interest in him as a person. And they went to the bowling alley because she knew that her boyfriend would be there, because she kept making eyes with him as she was like hugging Scott and stuff.
It's such a weird.
Yeah, she's just a real shit person.
And she's not like, I'm not being like narcissistic here or I'm not criticizing it. Like there's nothing against the actress, but the actress they got to play Boof is much better looking. In a modern standard, like, because I know that like the blonde cheerleader stereotype existed right up until the late teens. But yeah, and everyone sort of, I think Beyonce's really helped, but everybody's sort of gone the other way. Fashion, style, everything.
Okay.
But it's just, from looking at it from a 22 point of view, like the friendly neighborhood girl you've got a relationship with that's built over time and trust, and now you're getting into puberty, versus the blonde girl who's dating a dude who maybe was in prison.
Yeah, who maybe was in prison and definitely has it out for you.
And the only thing that he seems to like about her is the fact that she's blonde. Like, there's no...
Yeah. In fairness, he is just a shitty teenager, and he's going to have weird crushes on whatever, based on, very superficial things.
Yes. Isn't that topical? Okay. We'll talk about Turning Red for a minute, because I think... overall, it's a way better movie.
Yes. It's amazing. It's really good. This is probably going to be controversial opinion time. I liked it. I like it better than Encanto. I think it's a much better film.
I liked Encanto. I thought it was an enjoyable film. I wouldn't say... I don't like the direction that these movies are going in, because I think they got to a point where they were Pixar over their overarching thing was getting quite to a mature point, and I think they're going back the other way a little bit now.
Turning Red?
No, I think like that's on the precipice of like it could go one way or the other. But there are sequences in that and little tropes that I didn't enjoy, like the big giant like anime eyes.
Yeah, I thought that kind of stuff was interesting because what I wrote down at one point, I don't know where it is, but roughly what I was thinking was that I think the style of animation really plays on the fact that everything that Mei Lin interprets is through her emotional sphere, which is obviously very heightened. And it's interesting because in Teen Wolf, the signs that you get that he's going to become a wolf are all physical changes. Yeah. You know, he's got a heightened sense of smell. He can hear the dog whistle. He's growing hair in weird places. His ears get pointed.
That's what happened to me during...
your ears got pointed?
Yeah.
What was the other things? It was, he gets increased appetite and things like that. Whereas in Turning Red, it's all the signs that there's going to be a change are emotional.
Yeah.
And you see things as she sees them, and they intensify as her emotions intensify.
Yeah.
So then when there's those things that like things are really exciting or things are really cute or whatever, they like turn into this cutesy style. Because you see that later on when they're trying to test her and they bring out the box of kittens, and the whole way through with different things she's been keeping it calm, and then with that the animation style goes different. They get all cutesy anime eyes and she does and whatever, and then she has to like calm down. But very much they were trying to give you a visual representation of how intense her emotions are as a 13-year-old girl, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. So that's the way you took it, you interpreted it.
Yeah.
The way for me was just like, oh god, this is going the same way that like modern anime is gone, where it's just like people have really quickly drawn expressions based on like real stupid emotions, and it's just like I watched like I was watching ages ago like a gritty anime, and then one of the characters did that, and I was just like, I'm literally done with this shit. Like, I'm done. Like, you can't have people getting shot in one episode and people drinking to ignore the pain of the fact that their friend got blasted. And then the next episode they're just being like that, oh, dumb face, and you're like, no, like, I'm done with this.
No, I thought it was well done. I mean, I don't necessarily love all of the style choices, but I thought it was really well done that, like, whenever she's calm, it's a very consistent style.
Yeah.
And I think that's the style that they use for their ordinary animation. That is actually quite beautiful. Like, I love the character designs and things. But then it's as her emotions get more intense or get more worked up, the style changes, and you see things like when she's introducing her friends, and you get these big like, you know, flashy screens about them and whatever, and it's, you know, like it's a big TV intro, but that's just how she is seeing her friends. She's like, these are the coolest people in the fucking world, and this is, you know, you all need to know how cool they are.
The cinematography in Turning Red is fantastic. There is some borderline horror style cinematography in there.
Are you talking about Giant Mom?
No, we won't even get up to that. I'm talking like what's in the box sequence.
Yeah.
And also her mum stalking her on her first day at school when she's, you know, turning red.
Yeah.
And literally just like getting assaulted, or no, not assaulted, accosted by the security guard, who's a Sikh gentleman.
Yeah.
There, and she's like trying to hide behind a tree, and that's when she goes for like full panda in the school. The cinematography, like, there is small parts that could be like a horror movie, just like the intensity, and I think the soundtrack helps play that up, because those two things usually go in hand to hand. You know, all the famous movies, you can quote them. You don't even have to name them. You don't even need to see Jaws to know the you know, because it's
two notes, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Because it's now part of like movie ethos, and it's absorbed through osmosis rather than actual Like, there's people out there that have never even seen Jaws and know exactly what it is and see the trope in, you know, Family Guy or The Simpsons or South Park or, you know, whatever else.
Yeah, and that, like, semitone shift is actually very, very good at getting people's emotions to, like, feel intense, because another movie that does the same, just two notes as a theme for something, is The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Because the One Ring theme is just two notes and it's a semitone.
The mother is missing in Teen Wolf. Was it ever explained?
I don't think so, no, because
Okay.
I was waiting for that to be explained and it didn't seem to be.
There was a little bit of backstory with the dad, and it was a very, like, James, Lily, Snape thing going on in the background.
Yeah.
And, yeah, the dad talk. And there's two dad talks, and both of them, him coming out of the bathroom was just like, you don't know what's going on to me, and he's just like, I better do something.
And then he opens the door
and his dad's a werewolf too, and I was just like, I laughed. And I hadn't seen this movie in years.
Yeah, I've seen it, like, probably almost 20 years ago.
It must have been in the mid-90s for me. And, like, you know, there's two sequences in this movie where his dad sits him down and has a dad talk with him. And his dad, like, backs him up later on when he goes to... Because the vice principal is, like, Snape to Harry, except it's Scott. Where you've got his dad getting the girl that he wanted.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously the only time that he ever turned into a werewolf in public was when he was in a fight with this guy, who's now the vice principal looking after his son. Yeah. And obviously he's now seeing the reflections of his... Yeah. Like I said, it's very Harry Potter.
It is very Harry Potter. But Harry Potter was written after this. So maybe J.K. Rowling got the idea from Teen Wolf.
Really? Yeah.
That's what I'm going with here, yeah.
And
I think we've discovered the secret.
And, you know, the only time that he turned into a werewolf, and he literally pissed himself.
Yeah.
The dad talk and turning red, which is quite late into the movie, because the mother in Turning Red is unbelievably controlling to every aspect.
Yeah.
Like, Mei Ling can't hang out with her friends after school because she's got to go to open the shrine they run the only red panda shrine and
it's the only it's the oldest temple in Toronto.
And like he doesn't even get a chance to talk through most of the movie because literally he goes to say something and she's just literally in his face like, you know what, I'm gonna like, and
it's very you see real glimpses of where that came from at the end of it, that she always wanted to please her mother, so she was always trying to be perfect, so she has internalized this perfectionism so much that she must control everything that's happening at all times, and that has, you know, affected how she parents her daughter. And what I found amazing about that is at the end of the movie they have her acknowledge that, and she apologizes to her daughter for making her think that she couldn't be good enough, for passing on the same fears
family
that
guilt.
She had.
It's like a cultural guilt that's sort of passed down from the mother, from the original ancestor who prayed to the spirit and got this red panda, like Hulk, ability. And there is a sequence when she escapes from school and she goes straight full Hulk. Like it would be. You could take that exact same sequence and put it into an MCU movie and it'd be the exact same thing of the Hulk being like, where the hell am I? I have to get the hell out of here. People are chasing me. I'm going to go destroy half a city to get across
get up on the roofs and run across until you get to where you're going and hide.
Yeah, it was really fantastic. Going through the family mysticism, and there's an ability to seal away her power, and the mum was, you know, and then you learn later on in the movie that, you know, it's like the mother's guilt to her because of what her mother went through when she had the red panda spirit come forth, which you see later on in the movie, which is fantastic. We'll get to that in a minute.
But so what you were talking about was the conversation she has with her dad. Which I thought was fantastic, because he's the first person
who talks to her like she's equal.
Yeah, but he's the first person in the whole movie who cares about what she wants.
Yeah, that's true too.
Because you think at the beginning, you think her friends are that person, are those people for her, and her mom just wants her to do whatever she wants her to do. and her friends let her be free. But then you get the moment at the party, again, parties that are important in both of these films. But you get the moment at the party where the friends guilt her into becoming the panda again, because she's basically saying, well, her grandmother warned her if she becomes the panda again,
the more times you become it, the harder it's going to give up.
Yeah. So she warned that if she becomes a panda again, she may not be able to get rid of the power, which is what they are planning to do. So she shows up at this party in her cardboard box panda suit, and everyone is pissed off. And at this point, which we haven't mentioned, she's been using the red panda as a way to earn money, so that her and her friends can buy tickets to a concert they want to go to. And they're $200 short, and this kid who's like been the bully kid the whole way through, Tyler, has said he'll give them $200 if she'll come to his birthday party and be the panda, because that's the only way he can get other people to come to his birthday party, which is quite sad in itself. But she shows up in this cardboard box suit, and he's pissed off, and then her friends are, saying like, oh, I guess one of us will have to not go to the concert, and then they're like, oh, maybe none of us can go to the concert if one of us can't go, whatever, and they essentially guilt her into becoming the panda. And then later on in the party, when they're up on the roof, her friends are saying, like, don't give it up, we can do this and we can do that, and, we like who you are as the panda. And that's the whole problem in Teen Wolf, is that the people who like him as the wolf because he's the wolf, and they didn't actually give a shit about him before he was wolf. So in Turning Red, it's a bit different because her friends did care about her before she became the panda, but what they're telling her there in that moment is, we like you better as the panda than we liked you as yourself. And her mom wants her to be perfect, perfect daughter, perfect family person, and not listening to that kind of music and not hanging out with the wrong people and whatever. And her friends want her to be more rebellious and more whatever, but both of them just want her to do stuff for them and think that they know what's best for her. Whereas her dad sits down and is like, do what you want to do, and he shows her like the video that he's found of her, and he's like, I don't mind what you want to do, but this version of you, made me laugh, seems happy.
See, there's a point I'll bring up, so hold that thought in your head for now. Not that I'm saying you're wrong, I'm just saying what her father says to her, what really made me write down actually, a full sentence rather than 3 words, what I normally do for my notes. Jumping back to Teen Wolf, like you're saying, this conflict that Scott starts having about the fact that does anybody actually like me for me, when he goes around and people are like, no, we want the wolf, like, why are you here? Like, we want the wolf. He got a role in the play to get closer to Blondie, and then the director's all like, no, I don't, you've got 2 choices. You either turn around and you come back as a wolf, or you're not on the play. And he's like, well, then I'm not on the play, and walks away. And yet, like you said, the last ending sequence of him playing basketball and the coach being like, well, you're going to lose. And he's like, well, I'm okay with losing as long as I'm playing. Yeah. And there's that sort of star moment, which I didn't think happened. I don't remember it happening at all in Turning Red, where the people around him start becoming jealous, which they did. Like, the rest of the team are pretty much just space fillers at the point, or even like, the actual good, in brackets, player on the team before Scott became Teen Wolf is like, dribbling the ball up the court to make some sort of tactical move, and he just literally takes the ball mid-bounce from him.
He becomes really not a team player.
Yeah. And everybody starts loathing him, and then I think that's probably the relief when he comes back as Scott. Mm-hmm.
I think the equivalent kind of thing in Turning Red is probably when she starts to get real mad at the party, when she's well, I think everything revolving around Tyler, because first of all, Tyler is like trying to blackmail her. Yeah,
I paid you to be here, everyone wants rides, what are you doing on the roof? Like, you're the entertainment.
But he blackmails her to be there in the first place. He says he's going to tell her mom what she's been doing if she doesn't come to his birthday party. And then he does that, and he's real shitty towards her, and then she just blows up, and then everyone is scared of her, and and then she won't tell her mom the truth, so her friends hate her. Yeah. I think that's the closest we come to that kind of thing. Yeah. Because even the the popular girl, doll like girl all of a sudden because she's a panda, which is, I mean, the same in Teen Wolf. The popular girl likes him because he's a wolf. So there's not so much of a jealousy thing because she doesn't ditch her friends is the thing.
No.
The only moment where she kind of ditches her friends is where she won't stand up to her mom in front of them.
But again, it's sort of a cultural thing. Yeah. It's not exactly...
Yeah. And I think that's kind of where the problem with her friends lies, is that they don't understand the culture, I think. Because there's when she wants to rush home to help around clean up the temple and stuff, and they're like trying to stop her and be like, oh, just do this, and just just tell her that, and she's like, no, I can't.
Like that sequence where she literally gets challenged to a dance off to get on the bus, which is already waiting. Yeah. Which was like but I guess, you can play that off as like they're young kids, they don't know. Yeah. They don't have that.
Yeah, but they really don't. Yeah, because she tries to explain it to them, but they really just don't comprehend what her family dynamic is and where that comes from.
It's interesting too because you never actually get a glimpse of what their home lives are like outside of just them talking about when they also approach their parents on the same night to ask if they can go to Four Town, I think's the boy band they're obsessed with.
Even though there's 5 of them in Four Town.
Yeah.
It's 5 guys and it's called Four Town.
That's what the mum brought up. Yep.
Yeah. And 4, which I didn't realise 4 is an unlucky number in Chinese culture. Yeah. So they didn't like that.
There was a really funny moment where the animosity to Tyler's been growing. Mm-hmm. And there's that sequence where they're just awesome at dodgeball. They're just like epic at dodgeball. Like the entire sequence is like a throwaway sequence to lead up to her being embarrassed and running away. Yeah. But like all the characters are like catching and dodging in the most like unique their own character way. But it's just so amazing. You get like this shadow ghosting, like ghost dodging. The other girl's like grabs both, like gets ball in each hand and then grabs the last one in her teeth. Yeah. And then you get, I think the other one just like grabs one and just like spins around all clumsily but like launches it back, and then Tyler's like laughing at her in the background and giving her crap, and her just like arm hulks out into the panda and just lodges the ball. It's so far at his head that it goes through a window and smashes through the window, but then it like has like a couple of frames where his hair is literally on fire. Yeah. I thought that was fantastic. Just like little, like, the problem with, I find when people write certain casts, everybody just gets like a one-off trick. And I think this came to me as why I stopped watching the Ocean series. Right. Because they're just like, oh, you're the guy who's good at this, and you're the guy who's good at that, and you're the guy who... And that's all they do through the entire movie. It's like, okay, heist movies are stupid. I want to talk a little bit more about Turning Red, but I don't know if it'll go straight to the ending for me. What her father said about the time that her mother transformed into the red panda. He only saw it once. Yep. And it was because she was so angry at her mother, and it was about him and how her mother thought he wasn't good enough for her. Yep. And apparently she was huge.
Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah. She was huge.
Yeah. The thing for me is then when her mother, when the ceiling, because the concert for Four Town and the sealing ritual when the red moon is coming again are on the same night. Yep. She goes into the spirit realm or spirit world.
Yeah, which is just a bamboo forest.
Yeah, which looked really pretty, and I've always wanted to visit a bamboo forest. Yeah. But that's
we'll do that someday in the future.
Yeah, that's irrelevant for this conversation.
There's less COVID in the world.
Yeah. She's just like, no, I don't want to get rid of you. Yeah. And then she comes back quite violently, and it cracks her mother's seal. Yes. And she runs off to go see her friends, and she's like, no, I'm not. And they're most amazing, because there's certain sequences in this movie for me who grew up watching like Dragon Ball Z, because that's what it instantly came to my mind, and I'll pick out one moment why. It was like the double jumping, which is physically impossible in physics that determines the laws of our universe.
Yeah,
it's physically impossible.
She's using the momentum of the change.
Yeah, which is fantastic because it looks so good when they did it, because it doesn't look like, it's not like Super Mario where he does like a flip and then you can do a double flip in the air because like there's nothing to push off.
Yeah, because the whole thing is
using like I don't remember the principle of matter, something along those lines.
She's very smart.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the whole thing the whole way along has been about how she can't control it, or her parents don't believe her she can control it, or, well, her mom doesn't trust she can control it and whatever, and that, you know, it's so important that we remove this spirit from you so that you don't have to worry about it again, because of what her experience was like and how much she couldn't control it.
Yeah.
To the point that they were like testing her different emotions to see if she could control it, and she could. But that moment is after she has decided to accept it and become one with the panda, and she does this run off to the Sky Dome in Toronto next to the CN Tower. She can control it so well that at will she's turning into and out of the red panda in such a way that she is manipulating the space around her, essentially, because she knows that it gives her kind of a forward momentum, that it like poofs up, because obviously that matter has to go somewhere when she when the panda disappears. It's much larger than her. My
logical brain was just like, there are so many questions. Where do her clothes go?
I thought that when she was wearing the panda suit, I was like, is she gonna burst out of it? And then I thought, oh no, she hasn't burst out of her clothes any other time, so I guess I don't know. I think it's just the spirit. I don't know. It's something spiritual. But it's really, really cool sequence.
To get to my point,
yes,
the differences between May and her mother, in my opinion of how their panda spirit takes form, is her mother's one is fueled by rage.
Yes.
And then you see that entire sequence when she straight up attacks the friggin' dome during the concert. Like, May arrives, she flies in through the roof, she lands in the crowd, she finds her friends, they try and make amends, they see Tyler in the background because apparently he's like super into the band as well. You get a little bit of the band play, and then the mum turns up like straight up like the Saiyan when they turn into giant monkeys in Dragon Ball Z, crashes through, Azaru I think's the form, crashes through the roof and is like, where is May? And the whole crowd disappear, which is bullshit, because I don't know you would Google Sky Dome and how big it, like, I'm pretty sure it's like
I was Googling
50 to 60,000 people could fit in that thing.
Capacity for, these are all for different sports games. It looks like for a baseball game it's 50,000 roughly. So more than that at a concert. So
the 60,000 people just disappear instantly. Yeah. As we all know, we've both been involved with evacuations of buildings. That is
it doesn't happen
bullshit.
But it's what I was actually looking up there was the height of the Sky Dome, which is 86 meters tall. Because importantly, when her dad said that her mom was huge. Yeah. Now Mei Lin, when she is a panda, is significantly larger than a normal self. She's about 8 foot tall, maybe.
But she can still fit through a door.
Yes, she's large.
Yeah.
And fluffy, and I'd say about 7 to 8 feet tall. So she's probably thinking, oh, my mom is, that size.
Yeah.
And then her mom shows up, and she's the same height as the Sky Dome. So she is approximately 86 meters high. And the first time you see her is coming around the side of a building, and she's just fully, it's just a silhouette with the glowing red eyes, just like luring around this, and you're just like, oh no. He was not kidding. She is huge. She's a big girl.
And then they have their cool anime fight. And then like flying head. Oh, and then there's like the weird sequence where they're like the whole family, the army of aunties that have shown up with the mother, who are there for the ritual and now like going to contain both of them at the same time. And then she's like, I like to sing, I like to dance, I like to gyrate.
I like to gyrate, yeah.
And
all
then,
the things that her mom was complaining about. She was like, because when she'd seen the ad for Four Town, I keep almost saying the O Boys, which are the fake boy band in Kim Possible. Same idea, it's a fake boy band. But when she saw the Four Town ad, she was like, why are they gyrating? So then Maylin is like, I like gyrating, and she starts like twerking in front of her and stuff.
Yeah,
and
to keep her like confused and stuck, and then she's like having this head spinny moment and just like whips her with a tail and ends up getting knocked unconscious, and then they like, well, we got to go back in the circle before to seal her back in.
Yeah.
So the aunties, which in I think typical China is just like it's like your cousins, but like you just refer to them as sisters because the whole one child generation.
They're definitely all in the
same family.
Yeah,
but I don't think that the one people had like.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. They're not. They are not her mom's sisters.
Yeah,
but they're maybe her. I don't know. Her mother's cousins or her grandmother's cousins, or
you have a family that's all linked to a curse. I'm pretty sure they'd stay pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
As supporting, so they could be quite a large family.
Yeah, so you've got the grandma and these aunties who are there chanting, and then they see. So Maylin has knocked her mother unconscious, and she's fallen half out of the circle.
Yeah,
and Maylin is trying to pull her back into the circle, but she's so small in comparison. So they all break
their charms.
Yeah, their charms, and they turn into pandas and start pulling her back into the circle.
And then the group of friends go and get the band who were stuck on stage in like angel high wire outfits to help them sing the chant before.
Yeah, because I think they had said when they had tried to do the chant for Mei Mei the first time, the shaman had said, oh, it doesn't actually matter what they sing, but your grandma's very old school, so she's singing the proper chant. So they'd already set it up that you could sing
You just
anything.
had to be from the heart.
Yeah. So they're all singing her favorite song by this band.
Yeah.
And then they send all of them into the Shadow Realm.
Yeah. They all go to the bamboo forest.
Yeah, and when she finds her mom there, she's a teenager.
Yeah, and crying. And she like leads her away, and each time a bamboo stem passes over the screen, she's like
older.
white. Yeah, it's such a good sequence.
Yeah.
And then you end up getting this moment where she's just like, and then is embraced by her original ancestor. It's like, well, you actually figured it out. It's not a curse. Like, you can actually live with this.
Yeah. Well, they had said that the family believed it to be a blessing, and that it was only when they moved to New World, so when they were in Canada, and I think the grandmother was somewhere in the States before she came up to them. But anyway, they were in North America, and then it suddenly became a curse because they have to hide it and, whatever.
All I have to say is Teen Wolf ends really, really, really very 80s. He gets a foul by the Mick. Ugh. And then gets 2 free throws. When froze, then
yeah. So they were 1 point down.
Yeah.
And he gets 2 free throws.
And each free throw is 3. Damn it!
It's okay.
It's my Kiwi is worth 1 point.
Yeah.
So then they end up
1 point over.
Yeah. And then everyone lives happily ever after, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, there's the moment where, the Pamela, the blonde girl, is coming up to him, and he pushes past her and embraces Boff.
Yeah.
Boof. Boof. Because he's finally realised that, she's that trope of best female friend who's been secretly in love with you for her whole life, and you finally realise she's a person.
Yeah. Only after you mould her a little bit and go off with some actress.
Yeah.
There's this coming back part where, she's Mei Ling. What am I saying?
What? Maylin?
Maylin's come back to her, world with a panda spirit. And the family's all sort of like scattered back away, and it's like her going over living with it, and how she's like you know, I'm not just living for my mother's attention, and I'm also doing other things, but I'm also part of like her life still.
Yeah.
And then and then it sort of has like the nice happy ending there, and then we were sitting there. I think I went out for a vape, and you were just like typing up your notes.
No, it was while it was still in the credits. You paused the credits, and you were like,
"Oh, yeah."
You were like, "They did it again."
They did it again.
And I hadn't even copped it.
Okay, so there is a trope, and it's ongoing, and I don't know why. It's when a character that is not white, it's just for some reason, it doesn't matter what race they are, as long as they're not white, they spend at least 50% or more of the movie as some form of animal. And it's pissing me off now because I can't think of a movie. You did a list.
Yeah.
It was Emperor gets his new groove back.
It's just called Emperor's New Groove.
Whatever.
Oh, you've like taken it a whole other level. So Emperor's New Groove, Brother Bear, Princess and the Frog, Soul, and Turning Red.
Yeah, and then we had a discussion of Luca counts.
I don't think Luca counts because he is a fish creature that becomes human, not the other way around.
If Italians had feelings.
If Italians had feelings. Yeah, so, it's definitely interesting because those are all Disney films or Disney Pixar.
Yeah.
But it happens in other animation studios as well.
Is Brother Bear Disney?
Yeah, Brother Bear's Disney.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the most underrated Disney movies ever.
I think the only one that really doesn't happen in is Aladdin. But
what are you talking about? No, you've got Lilo and Stitch, Moana,
true,
Encanto. It's 3.
Yeah, it's 3. But no. So
I was gonna say Atlantis, but there's some dodgy shit in that.
No, because what I was gonna bring up in you know the canon of the hive mind canon of Aladdin, right?
What? That it's
it's
all imagined.
No. So it's in the future, but it's post-apocalyptic, and the only culture that survived was a Muslim culture.
Oh, okay.
Because that's how Genie and Abu and what's the Iago are like genetically engineered animals, and the flying carpet is just technology. And how could the genie make references to things?
Because the genie is omniscient. The genie knows.
No, that's not how it works. It's a post-apocalypse, Lisa.
I don't think so.
No, actually, it's all made up because it's just a guy selling.
It's a guy telling us. Yeah,
to sell a
it's
job.
a guy telling a story. So how does he know about Robert De Niro?
and Cars and Jack Nicholson. Oh God.
It's okay. Don't worry about Aladdin too much. We're not talking about Aladdin. We don't have to. Oh, I was gonna say we don't have to ever talk about Aladdin, but we could eventually probably because there was a live action remake.
Oh God, that's gonna be like year 5 about the thing when we start doing remakes of things.
Oh, yeah, we don't need to get near remakes anytime soon.
No. I don't even know where I was going. Oh yeah, the end sequence. The post-credit sequence was super cute.
Oh yeah, her dad dancing to
the Four-Town music in the basement away from everybody else, and he's like wearing the glasses, and he's just like.
Yeah, her dad is real sweet.
Yeah.
And one of the notes I took down near the beginning of the movie was that obviously the writer-director, Domee Shi, she obviously loves food. Because
God, the cooking sequence in this made me like...
Yeah.
There is something about animated food, like
Studio Ghibli food.
Yeah. They do it, like, fantastically.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that whole anime, like, chef sequence was fantastic to the point where it's like, when it, like, pans up to him... Like his glasses are white.
Yeah.
Like the standard anime, like backlit glasses so you can't see their eyes, but then he's just like, and takes them off and wipes them. And
I love it because it's like this real, it's shown as this real like powerful thing. Like it's shot like a big action sequence, but it's just him like chopping lettuce and stuff, and then they're making bao. But the reason I say that is because Domee Shi, this is her first film that she's written and directed, a feature film.
Yeah.
But what she did before for Pixar was a short film called Bao, which, have you seen that?
No.
It's about an Asian mother whose son has it's about empty nest syndrome. Is that what it's called? where like her son has grown up and is left.
Yeah.
And she is like making Bao without him, and she gets upset, and then she creates a son out of a Bao, and it's a really cute. Well, we can watch it after we record. It's a very cute little short.
What was that movie we watched about mooncakes?
Mooncakes.
It was the one where the girl had to go to the moon to fight the moon princess.
That was nominated for an Oscar last year. Was it just called Over the Moon? I think it was just called Over the Moon. Yeah.
I was talking about like family making bao, and I was just like, there was another one that we watched that was about family making food. Yeah,
so I think Turning Red is interesting because it's written by Domee Shi, who is she's Chinese Canadian, which is this is about the Chinese community in Toronto, Canada. So she wanted to make a film, I guess, based on that Chinese descended population of Toronto and of Canada. And she based it on her own childhood growing up there. So Ming is based on her own mother and what her experience is. So, the film is kind of her showing what her experiences growing up with a mother like that were. But obviously she's taken a bit of a fantastical slide on it.
Don't know, she could be a weird panda.
She could be a weird panda. I think we just found something out about Domee Shi.
And it's sort of, I think that's possibly the best way for filmmakers to make films is like express from themselves. And that's, I know there's certain movies you don't like, but I know from one of our fans no, he's not actually a fan, where Kevin Smith was working through his own drama with the way he was
our fan, Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
We say this because Kevin Smith retweeted us. Oh no, he didn't even retweet it. So he liked a tweet once. So he's our fan, Kevin Smith.
A fan for that point in time that he spent 2 microseconds pressing an upvote or whatever. I don't use Twitter very often.
Yeah.
Well, it's a love heart, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little love heart.
Anyway.
He loved her tweet.
He loved it. Tusk is a fantastic movie.
Yes, it is.
If you like body horror,
oh gosh,
I can recommend it. But that's Kevin Smith worked through his like own stuff. Like he worked through his like strict Catholic background with dogma and his gripes with his own like decisions about his sexuality through Jersey Girl. And, no, not Jersey Girl.
Amy or Chasing Amy.
Chasing Amy. Yeah.
It's interesting because Brave was the original director for Brave was Brenda Chapman, and she was working on Brave as a story based on her relationship with her daughter.
Yeah.
Because it's another film that's very much focused on that mother-daughter relationship. So this is from the child point of view, and I wonder that's probably why she said it in 2002 because it's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because that probably is when she was 13 years old. I don't know what age Domee Shi is.
That you can also get like trackers for kids these days.
Right.
So it's been very obvious how to find her because she just literally had a GPS tracking.
Yeah, she'd have a phone and said she's got a Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cute as well. She carries a Tamagotchi around the whole time. Oh, that was a sweet little detail at the end because they all had these, like, when they had done their ceremonies over the years or their rituals to banish their pandas, they all had brought, like, jewellery to put them in, but they all broke those to free their pandas. So the shaman who had to, like, trap all their pandas again had to just put it in items that he found around the place. So her mom, Ming, her panda gets trapped in the Tamagotchi.
Which she has to feed and this is like constantly complaining at her and she's like in the temple like doing their prayer service and it's just like, this thing gets hungry all the time.
I thought that was very cute. She's got her panda spirit in a Tamagotchi.
Yeah. I don't think anything else. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. More than I enjoyed Teen Wolf from a 2022 lens. Because some of those sequences were a bit rough these days.
Yeah.
Even like, just, wow.
Yeah.
I forgot how bad it was. Yeah,
there's a lot in it. I know Michael J. Fox hates it, apparently. Absolutely hates it. It's interesting because it was, the release was delayed. So it was released eventually in August 1985, but it was supposed to be released, I think, in February of 1985. And they pushed it back because Back to the Future was being released. And they knew that it was a better movie. And they wanted to be able to capitalize on Michael J. Fox's growing popularity after Back to the Future.
Gross.
So we can go over budgets and box offices if you want.
Yep.
Teen Wolf budget 1.2 million.
Made 80.
Made 33 million.
Oh.
Where'd you get 80 from?
I don't know. Ignore me.
Yeah, made 33 million, but they weren't expecting it to even do that well. Because I mean that's like 1.2 million. So that's literally 30 times.
Yeah.
What they had put into it. Turning Red. Do you want to guess the budget for Turning Red?
$171 million.
Oh, it's very close. $175 million.
Oh, I was close.
You were very close. I looked at it and I went, "Oh my god, that's a lot of money."
Yeah, but we watched Inside. And obviously it took him Bo Burnham a year to make that, and maybe a couple of stress years of mental health.
Yeah.
But what did Netflix pay for it? Like $3.9 million?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so $175 million. Now, it was supposed to get a theatrical release.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, it did not. It was, I think, the third film in a row for Disney that hasn't got a theatrical release when it was supposed to. After, obviously... Well, no, I think Encanto did it?
I don't know. Just don't take your kids to the movie theaters, folks.
Yeah.
There was a struggle for me.
Oh, yeah, so it was... Oh, sorry. So Soul and Luca both didn't.
Yeah, it was a struggle for me watching Batman for 3 hours with a mask on, let alone, like, trying to get a kid this movie to be aimed at to keep a mask on.
Yeah. So the box office that it has brought in so far is 4 million.
But that's irrelevant because everybody who already currently has a subscription to Disney Plus can watch it.
Yeah.
So how do you even generate?
I have no idea. Yeah, so I'm just
streaming thing.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't put it behind a bigger paywall because that's what they did initially with some releases. I think the Mulan live action.
And apparently it's garbage anyway, and that was pretty much why. I think that was why it was put behind a paywall.
I don't know, because there was a couple of things when they first started out doing it, and then people hated it so much and wouldn't pay for it, and that they just stopped doing it.
They were also doing a like a delayed release thing, so it would
right.
So in my mind, in the perfect world, you wouldn't have to, because this is the thing. Netflix came out, it had the license to everything. People stopped pirating, and now there's Amazon. There's Disney, there's Netflix, there's Hulu, there's... Peacock. There's something else that's...
I don't know, there's a lot of...
Well, Amazon is where the boys is.
Yep.
There's something else. There's another streaming platform that's again like money per month, and it's just like...
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
You're going...
You can buy like YouTube Red and that, and there's like
become a member of my channel, pay me money every month, even though I'm providing the traffic for a website and they should be paying me. I shouldn't have to rely on the fans to pay me. It makes no friggin' sense. It's just such, and why would you take money
Well, apparently YouTube are doing that better, or paying creators better than TikTok are. Apparently TikTok are being very shit at that. So what TikTok have done apparently is they have like a general pool of money that they pay to their top creators.
That's how Spotify works too.
Yeah, but the pool doesn't change. And TikTok has become more and more popular, so now everyone's getting less. So as people get more popular, they get less money.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Whereas YouTube has like a percentage thing going based on ad revenue and stuff, but TikTok is like, no, we allocate this much money to the creators.
The problem with YouTube is they also control the algorithm.
Yes.
So they can be just like, I personally don't like this content, so even though it's popular, no one's going to watch it anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's happened to many creators I watch who are just like, hey, algorithm, like, please, like, everybody and their wife now asks, and their dog and their next door neighbor Jim ask you to press the notification bell, but if you don't, you will never see my video because it will not come up in your recommended.
Yep.
Because they're scummy. Because it's owned by Google. And Google everywhere, man.
Yep.
They're in our souls. Anyway, we should wrap up this thing, because otherwise we're just going to go crazy.
Yeah, I think we've I think we've covered pretty much everything that we were going to cover.
Yeah. Teen Wolf got a sequel with Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
It didn't make any money.
Well, it got a sequel probably because they made $33 million the first one.
But the sequel didn't make any money.
Yeah.
And then they were going to have another one with Alyssa Milano.
They made an animated film, I think.
Yes, it was an animated series. And then they just changed.
And they did a reboot, yeah.
Yeah, they changed it, and now it's a weird 6-season long thing that came out in 2011.
Popular, but I don't know what it has to do with the original at all.
I think it's probably just the same story except spread out over 6 seasons.
I can't imagine, because I've never watched it, but any images I've seen out of it are really dark. It seems like it's like a angsty thing.
Yeah, but it was popular in 2011.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is I can't imagine it's the same story as the cheesy 1985 shit.
I'm pretty sure it will be the exact same plot. Maybe not the same beats.
It can't be the same plot.
No.
It can't be.
No.
It's not a dude playing basketball and being a wolf wearing sunglasses playing basketball being real cool. That's not what the 2011 one is.
No.
There's no way.
No.
I'm sure someone who's listening has watched it and is shouting at us right now.
Good for them.
Yeah, Teen Wolf is alright. Will I watch it again? Maybe in another 20 years.
And just be like, Jesus.
Turning Red, I could watch it again next week and be happy.
Yeah. But that's the thing about all the Pixar movies. Yeah. Most of the Pixar movies. Inside Out for me was like, oh, yeah.
Soul was Pixar, wasn't it? I certainly am not rushing to watch Soul again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But we'll see. If I was going to say watch one of these movies, it's Turning Red.
That's obvious, though.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It is the higher rated of the two as well. Even though it's only been out for a week. Less than a week. Okay. We'll wrap up, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for listening. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ittakes2_pod or on Facebook at ittakes2pod.
The website.
Oh yeah, we have a website. It's like I've never done this before. Our website is ittakes2.co.nz, and on there we have all the different places you can listen to us, or you can listen to episodes directly on the website, or you can join our mailing list, or you can read reviews people have written about us. If you want to write us a review, you can do that on Good Pods or Podchaser or Apple Podcasts, or
they've already tuned out, sweetie. It's okay.
Oh no! Wherever you're listening, if there's an option to rate a review, do it.
They're hitting next right now.
Yeah. So that's everything.
Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Goodbye.